Hi, it's Caitlin again, aka Look at All Those Books, and I am here today with a review of SCYTHE by Neal Shusterman. SCYTHE is about a perfect world where humans can live forever, and you know, that's great, apart from overpopulation. That could potentially be an issue. So basically, in this world, it's perfect. Disease is gone, anything bad like that is gone, and so we need to somehow manage all the people that, you know, maybe are gonna have to get bumped off along the way. And this perfect world is run by a system called the Thunderhead, which reminds us of the Cloud. We're not going to get into that. Don't want to get sued by the government. This is where the SCYTHE comes in. This is where the Scythedom comes in. And this is basically a collection of people who were originally put together to decide who to kill. The term kill isn't used, it's known as gleaning, because it wants to seem less brutal than murder, even though it technically is, but you know, we've got to have some way to get rid of people. And so these scythes are tasked with deciding who to kill and when, and they have a certain quota as to what they have to fill, and they have statistics from the old world, aka our now world, so they can decide to kill people who should have died in a car crash and things like that, and that is their duty. And there is this honourable scythe, Faraday, and it comes time for him to have an apprentice, and so he chooses 2 apprentices, aka our main characters, as a little thing. Personally, I read the audiobook of SCYTHE, which is why I don't have the physical copy here in my hands, and I honestly enjoyed it so much. The audiobook, which I literally just finished 5 minutes ago and had to grab the camera because I was so excited about it, was narrated by Greg Tremblay, and honestly I would give it a 5 out of 5 for that. It was so amazing. The voices, just the way the story was told. So yeah, I'm just going to give some of my thoughts and then I'll get into spoiler stuff. It did take us a little while to get through it, because I started it before Christmas and I have just finished it today on the 23rd of January. I don't know when this video is going up, maybe next week, maybe this week, who knows. But yeah, it was super good and I would highly recommend it to anyone. Personally, I would recommend the audiobook. It is an easy thing to listen to, and it is, the way it's told, you get the whole world in your head, and it's just such beautiful imagery and so much detail, and the storyline is so immense and it's packed full of stuff, and it was just so amazing that I would recommend it to anyone. Now I need to read Thunderhead. I don't have it yet and I definitely want to audiobook it though. So okay, now I'm done with non-spoiler stuff. If you haven't read it, bye, go read it, come back, maybe, I don't know. Here's the spoiler stuff. First things first. SCYTHE Lucifer. SCYTHE Lucifer. I'm sorry, the end just really got to us. Rowan's not even a scythe, which is what I don't understand, because apparently Rowan's going around killing all of these scythes. But he's not a scythe himself, so he doesn't have the license to kill. So one thing that I love that the book talks about is kind of this idea of what makes a human. People are immortal, which means they never die. However, this can be an issue because obviously it's the natural way of the world. Unfortunately, we get born and then we die, and that is just a natural part of life, and taking that away would knock the balance out so much. And so there must be a way to eliminate some of the population to avoid overpopulation. And one thing that I really love about this book is that it goes into depth and talks about kind of like what would happen if we did have a power such as this, and it fell into the wrong hands, it fell into corrupt hands, and they just decided to go on killing sprees all the time. And so it definitely makes you think, because the way technology is advancing, I'm not saying we're all going to be immortal, but like in the far future, it could potentially be a possibility. Vaccinations, all of this, it's coming so quickly, and we've made so many developments in the past 100 years. And obviously we have the AI, which is featured in this as the Thunderhead, and kind of, should we really allow decisions to be made by them? Like self-driving cars, personally totally against them. I don't understand why we can't just drive our own cars. I feel like given something that doesn't fully understand the emotional consequences whilst understanding the logical consequences is not the best idea. We shouldn't do it, and I think that definitely takes away from humanity. Besides, when they get the job, some of them embrace it and some of them are really good at it, some too good. South Goddard, not gonna say anything, not gonna swear anything, South Goddard. Yeah, but some of them don't enjoy the job, which I imagine you wouldn't, and we get to see the struggle of humanity, and kind of the idea that even though yes it is a duty, it doesn't mean you want to do it, and you know, regardless of whether or not this cleaning is legal, whether or not it's accepted within society, it's still killing someone, and the scientists have to bear this all and carry it on their consciences. And personally, I couldn't do it, and it's kind of, it really brings into question, you know, how far would we go? And you know, unfortunately some people have to do necessary jobs, and thank God for now that is not killing people. I totally enjoyed the plot. Like, I loved the fact that we got to start off quite easily, really. We started off quite slow, quite calm, with SCYTHE and Ronan, like, they were acquired, and Scythe Faraday was just teaching them the rules, and I really enjoyed that part because it kind of helped me come to grips with like this new world that was built. Because yes, even though it's not that different from our own world, there are different rules and expectations within society, and so it really just, it was kind of like a nice introduction. I learned along with those characters about what was going on, and it was so weird to see this world where there was no disease, no killings, nothing bad like that, because obviously this is something that we do fear. We fear so much, and you know, it's a weird thing to see that be eliminated, and to read about characters who've never experienced that. One thing that I also think that the book emphasised was kind of the idea that, you know, maybe it's not best to live forever. Maybe we shouldn't want to live forever, because at this moment in time, when death is so prevalent in our lives, we do, you know, try to make the most of our days, and the phrase live every day as if it's your last, that honestly is so true, and we should make such an effort to be with the people around us and to do things that we enjoy. And this book kind of like, people have the ability to turn the corner, and you know, there were people in there who did get bored and who kind of like lost the love for everyday life, and you know, it just really makes you think. It's really thought-provoking. So after that, we'll have the whole thing with Scythe Faraday, which is totally horrific. And one thing that I kind of found interesting is that in it, the Thunderhead obviously was not allowed to get involved with the Scythes, because obviously death is not something that should be controlled by a computer. And so because of this, files about Scythe Faraday's death were completely hidden, and for one part of the book it was thought that it was this huge Scythedom conspiracy, and like Scythe Goddard had planned it out, which I honestly believed for a little bit, and it just, I can't help but feel that maybe it is like a little dig on today's government, because if they do something that they don't want us to know, they cover it up. like, the files aren't out there on the internet. Internet censorship exists, and I just thought that was a really interesting point that was kind of thrown in. And I do feel like this book has some undertones of like little digs at like the world and hints about what's going on, and yeah, call as a conspiracy nut, but that's just what I think. I also love conspiracy theories. Fun fact. Yeah. Around the time that SCYTHE moved in with SCYTHE, that was kind of where I felt things start to slow down a little bit, and I think this was because, you know, SCYTHE just potentially being killed, and we're just gonna let it go. We're just gonna move to this new house. Like, come on, do something. And obviously, once, you know, I started reading, I realised that it was because we needed to get to know SCYTHE, because she does play a huge part, and I did find her character incredibly interesting. What I also loved about the book was the fact that, unlike a lot of YA books, romance wasn't the key element. Like, yes, there was a little hint of flirtation in there, but it wasn't a key part, and I really enjoyed that, because it's so boring and vanilla when you read books and it's got the same plot, the same kind of tropes. If I see another love triangle in my life, I am going to scream, okay? A+ for the lack of conformity. So obviously I have to get talking about the end. Here we are. We've got this nice story with SCYTHE who follows the rules, Ronan who doesn't really follow the rules, but he's not like that bad of a person. And then, once Ronan gets moved to SCYTHE, everything is going down from there. He starts, I do want to say it as like a pure cinnamon bun, but like, we get to see his descent into kind of the darker stuff in life and the darker realizations, and you know, he really had first-hand experience with evil, honestly, and I love how you can see him becoming more corrupt, but it's not against the good people, it's against the bad people, and I love him for that, and the fact that he stuck with these guns and stuck with what's right. That explosive ending where he completely massacres all of Goddard's crew. He's like, you know what, I'm done, I don't care, my friends just died because he couldn't handle this, because he couldn't be SCYTHE and take away lives in this murderous way. So Ronan takes it upon himself because he knows that everything else is corrupt, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna be a social deviant, I am going to do this, I'm going to sort this out once and for all. And he completely wipes them out, but he leaves no evidence, which is just so smart, because then they can't trace it back to him, and obviously they can't do anything. And SCYTHE at the end, when she punches him, and it's like, boom, haha, me ring's got you, oh no, now you have immunity, now you can't die, go, quick, Ronan, run. I loved that, because it was just so clever, and I didn't see it coming, because obviously I knew that somehow both of them were going to survive. However, like, up until this point, I had no idea. I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? I knew that Ronan had this idea of how he was gonna get SCYTHE out there, but like, we had never heard from SCYTHE what her plan was if she won and if Ronan lost. And so I did think it was just so clever, and it was such a great plot twist kind of thing. Also, speaking of plot twists, SCYTHE Faraday was alive the whole time. This little idiot faked his own death, and he didn't even realise that he was putting everything that he left behind in danger. I know he was doing it for the right reasons, and I really applaud him for that, but like, also maybe he could have like done a quick phone call to Curie and being like, yo, hey mate, what's up, like, why man, what's going on, like, sit around Ronan, they chill, got it, has he backed off yet, you know, but yeah, other than that, I applaud him for everything, and he is honourable. Overall, incredibly enjoyed the book. I feel like I've done a lot of talking, but like I also feel like I haven't, because I feel like I have so much more that I want to talk about, but like the thoughts just aren't popping into my head. I can't think of certain things that I want to think of, and you know, I don't really know what else to say besides the fact that I loved it. And I'm honestly so looking forward to Thunderhead. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Ronan. I want to know what's going on about Ronan and his role as Scythe Lucifer, even though he isn't a Scythe. How is he killing these people? Has the Thunderhead made a mistake? What is going on? If you haven't read it, I don't know why you've just watched the entire spoiler section, but like, you know, you do you. Please go read it. It's so worth your time. It's so good. Honestly, 10 out of 10. Recommend the audiobook. Go do it. You won't regret it. So that was it for my very first book review. I've never done a review before. Like, I've only done tags so far on this channel, and so it was incredibly, it's weird because I feel a little more comfortable because I'm literally just sat down talking to the camera about my opinions, and I can literally just ramble on about anything, and this is the kind of discussion that I would have with my friends. Apart from my friends wouldn't actually be listening, I'd just be talking at them, but you guys are listening. If there's anyone watching this, which there might be, also thank you so much for the support on my first video. There was so much and it was overwhelming, and every time I read a nice comment, like, I got a little boost of dopamine, and it really means a lot, because obviously, you know, I didn't think that like I would even get 2 views, and now I have 10 subscribers, and I know that doesn't sound a lot compared to other people, but for me that's huge. 10 people care about the books that I care about and want to hear me talk about them, and that means so much. So follow my bookstagram at Look at All Those Books. Maybe give this a like and subscribe. I don't know, do whatever you want. I don't own your pet. Back off. Okay, right, so that is it from me, and I will see you next time, I guess. Bye.